Hello and welcome to Digital Doggie Digest, a channel where we share our journey as digital nomads traveling the world with a service dog. Today we're going to talk about flying from Las Vegas, Nevada to Vancouver, Canada with a service dog. And that is Shadow here, my co-host. This really is going to be relevant to anybody who may be flying from anywhere in the US to anywhere in Canada with a service dog. Pretty much the same process, but we're going to talk about the planning and documentation that you need. We're going to talk about packing for the trip, and then we're actually going to take you with us on the journey to the airport, on board, customs in Canada. We're going to have you follow the whole process with us. Shadow, come here, baby. This is Shadow, as I said. She is a Alaskan Klee Kai, which is a miniature husky, and she is trained to assist me with a disability. She goes with me everywhere. She has already been to, I think, about 15 different countries, mostly in Europe and then to Mexico. Whenever you are planning a trip with your service dog from the US to any foreign destination, in terms of documentation, there's really two things that you need to think about. You need to think about what you're going to need at the airline counter in order to actually get your ticket and be allowed to board the aircraft and take the flight. And then you need to think about what documents you're going to need when you actually arrive in the foreign country in order to clear customs with your dog. With regard to Canada, let me start with the documents you're going to need to enter Canada. And it's fortunately very simple. Canada really, to bring your dog, only requires that you have a valid rabies certificate or documentation that your dog has current rabies vaccination. And then the dog needs to appear healthy. They may do an inspection, sort of a visual inspection when you go through customs on arrival to Canada. But that's really all you need for Canada. And that's great because as you'll see as we travel, as you follow us on this channel to a lot of different countries, most countries require that you have a health certificate from a veterinarian that was issued within 10 days of travel, and a lot of times it has to be sort of stamped and endorsed by the Department of Agriculture. It's doable, but it's a lot of red tape. And fortunately, two countries that don't require that are Canada and Mexico. So those are relatively easy countries to travel to with a dog, with a service dog or with any dog for that matter. So let's talk about the documentation that you're going to need to take your flight. So anytime that you are flying within the US or you're departing from the US or you're arriving in the US, then the regulations of the flight are governed by the Americans with Disabilities Act and the Department of Transportation. And the only document that you really need, and the core document, is the Department of Transportation Service Animal Form. And I'm going to take you through that form in a minute, but that's really the only document that you need. If you are on a flight that's 8 hours or longer, there's another form that you have to fill out that basically, explains how the dog is going to urinate or defecate without doing it in the cabin. My flight to Canada is only a little less than 3 hours, so I don't have to worry about that one. So really the only document that you need is the service animal form. And in the case of Air Canada, which we're flying tomorrow, they require that you email that to them in advance. So you're going to fill it out, and then what I did is call them just to verify that they received it. They said that they did, and then I'm all good to go. So what you're going to find is that if you look at airlines around the world, a lot of them, some of them don't allow dogs at all. Some of them don't allow, service dogs. Some of them have very strict requirements that say that, they'll only allow you to bring a service dog if it was trained by, certain types of organizations. And it doesn't matter what the airline's own policy is. If they are flying into or out of the US, then the US Department of Transportation policy supersedes their internal policy. And the only document that you're going to need is, again, the service animal form, and possibly, if it's a longer flight, the form about the animal relief. So we are really excited, by the way, and just for reference, we live primarily in Las Vegas. Las Vegas is our home base. That's where our permanent home is. We spend about 6 months a year in Las Vegas. And we spend about 6 months a year traveling, mostly internationally. And we're really excited because today is July 14th, 2025, and it's a really awesome time to be going from Las Vegas to Vancouver. Because I think tomorrow the high in Las Vegas is going to be somewhere around 110 or so, and I think the high when we arrive in Vancouver is going to be like in the 70s. In fact, here you can see the 5-day forecast coming up for Las Vegas, and then the 5-day forecast coming up for Vancouver. So yeah, getting out of Vegas in the middle of July and going to a northern climate is wonderful. And by the way, so I've traveled to about, I want to say maybe 75 countries so far. Shadow, like I said, has traveled to about 10 to 15 countries. But for some reason, I've never gone to Canada. Even though it's close, it's our neighbor to the north. I've never actually gone to Canada, so we're really excited about going to Canada. We're excited about getting out of the Vegas summer heat and into the nice, cool Vancouver weather. We're planning to hit Vancouver, Victoria, British Columbia, Calgary, and Banff. I'm probably most excited about taking Shadow to Banff because she loves hiking, she loves the outdoors, and she loves the cooler weather. She's going to be right in her element. So I'm glad that you're following us on our trip. We're going to walk you through step by step this process of traveling internationally with your service dog, and hopefully you will get a lot out of it. So we are all packed and ready to go and about to call our Uber and head off to the Las Vegas airport.